Yo, what up? It's Raphael with NBA Draft Junkies. I am back again, and this is part 2 of my mock draft 2.0. If you missed the first one, you can just scroll through the last video, and you can see I did a mock draft 2.0 lottery. This one, I'll cover picks 15 through 30. Thank you to each and everyone who watched the video, commented, whether it was good or bad. I appreciate each and every comment. I appreciate all the feedback. Also wanted to, provide somewhat of an opportunity. I want to use my YouTube channel as an opportunity to provide a platform for other people who are, as I consider, draft junkies. So if you disagree with my picks, if you like my picks, or you think that there's a player that is a better fit for your favorite team and you want to reach out to me and talk about it, just shoot me an email, Raphael@NBADraftJunkies.com. Again, it's Raphael@NBADraftJunkies.com. If you've created a big board, send it to me and we could possibly discuss. I'll go through my emails. Or if you feel like your favorite team was not represented with the pick that you like and you want to discuss it, like I said, shoot me an email and we can go ahead and have you on as a guest on the YouTube channel or the podcast. I really would like to use my channel as a platform for other people that are really interested in and just doing this NBA draft stuff. So it's an opportunity for you guys. Like I said, I saw the comments and there were some comments where people just totally disagreed with my choice or whatever. So let's talk about it and let's just have some fun with it. At the end of the day, this is kind of like being a weatherman in a sense. Like, this is just all based off of my opinion. So I could be totally right, I could be wrong. I'm gonna hit on some, I'm gonna miss on some, but let's just have a open discussion and have some fun with it. So there's an opportunity for you to come on the show and, like I said, just talk about your personal big board and your personal picks. So I put the email address at the bottom of the screen. Reach out to me, and once I check it, I'll reach out and we can go from there. So let's get started on this video. I planned to push it out a couple of days ago, but with everything that was going on in the world and in the basketball world alone, I just decided that I should wait a couple days, but now I'm ready to rock and roll. So let's start with number 15, the Orlando Magic. I think that Kira Lewis would be a good fit here. Lewis is somebody that I may end up moving up when I do my mock draft 3.0. I had to ask myself, if I were a general manager, who would I choose between Tyrese Halliburton and Kira Lewis? And I just had to sit down and be honest with myself. And I think Lewis has the higher upside. So look for him to move up in my next mock draft. But since I already put the first one out and I had Halliburton up there, I got to stick with it for now. Lewis is a player that I really like. I like his speed. And I think that if he goes into the right situation, like most prospects, and if the floor is spaced, then he could be a big-time scoring threat and a person that just, wreaks havoc on defenses. As far as his fit in Orlando, it may not be the best fit short-term. I do think that Markelle Fultz is improving, but I don't know if he has improved enough to where you can just pencil him in as the starter guaranteed for the long term. So I think Lewis can push Fultz and create just a competitive atmosphere. I think maybe they can possibly play together depending on if both players improve their shooting ability. But Orlando could also look at a wing here, maybe some wing depth like Aaron Nesmith. But I think right now, with point guard being such an important position in the NBA, I think Kira Lewis would be a good fit here at Orlando at number 15. All right, at number 16, I'm a Portland Trailblazers fan, so this pick is near and dear for me, and I think Saddiq Bey from Villanova would be the absolute best fit for the Blazers. The Blazers are in desperate need of defense, and I feel like the roster is in balance. Going forward, it looks like they plan on starting Zach Collins at the 4, and in my opinion, he is a 5, and he should only be used as a 5. But due to the lack of 4s on the roster, he was projected to start, and I think Bey could come in and start right away at the 4 spot. I know a lot of people may consider him a 3, but I think his best long-term position is at the 4. He would give the Blazers a defender. Also, he's a a good outside shooter. I mean, he shot 45% from three. On top of all of that, another ball handler and decision maker. I think the Blazers' offense improved once Nurkic came back because he was able to get the ball in the middle of the floor and make plays. But I think Bey is an even better secondary or even third playmaker. I mean, if you watch Villanova, he played a lot of point forward. I think that the Blazers could use a versatile player that can knock down open shots, defend multiple positions, but also make plays for others. So if I'm Portland, Saddiq Bey is a no-brainer choice for me at number 16. 17, the Minnesota Timberwolves. If you followed my last draft, I had the Wolves selecting Anthony Edwards at number 1. And with this pick, I would swing for the fences for the ultimate wild card in the draft, and that would be Aleksej Pokusevski. I always butcher his name. And I feel like I have somewhat of an advantage over quite a few of the NBA draft scouts that are on the internet, and probably even some NBA scouts, because I've had the opportunity to watch Pokusevski live. And when you watch him live, you see all the skills. I mean, he's 7 foot. He moves like a wing. He can handle the ball. He has a high upside as a shooter. He can block shots. And he's like a point center. I mean, he kind of reminds me of a smaller Jokic in a sense, as far as his IQ and just how he is able to basically initiate the offense as a center. But the one thing that does not show up on film is I think that he lacks some toughness. So I'll give you an example. So I saw him play in Greece last summer, and I saw, like I said, the talent. I saw everything that he could do. But there's a game against Germany where he was matched up against a potential 2021 NBA draft pick. And I want to say he went like 0 for 5 or 0 for 6 from the floor in probably the first 10 minutes of the game. And he never came back on the court. I didn't see where he was hurt. I didn't see him on the bench with like ice on his ankle, his knee, or his shoulder. In my opinion, and I could be totally wrong here, but it seemed like he just shut it down. And I watched him on the bench. I mean, there wasn't any signs that he was hurt or even upset that he wasn't in the game. At halftime, when the team went to warm up, he seemed totally fine. I didn't see him walking with a limp. I didn't see any trainers near. And then the next game, he didn't play at all. So I don't know. I could just be over-analyzing here, but I just feel like if I had to throw this kid in the Wolves, literally, but let's say I threw him out in the G League today, and he had to go against those hungry G League guys that are trying to make a name for themselves to make it to the NBA, how would he fare? And my question is, I don't know. I have some doubts that he'd be able to contribute on a G League team right away. But with all that being said, I think Minnesota should definitely swing for the fences and take a gamble on his talent. Really talented kid. And since Minnesota does not have a first-round pick in the 21 draft, you might as well take a gamble on Pokusevski, who will be a lottery pick in 21 probably. He is the youngest player in this year's draft, if I'm not mistaken. So it's almost like you get a lottery pick in 2020 based off of what he would have been if he would have came out in the 21 draft. Yeah, but if I'm the Wolves, I go ahead and select him. I understand that he'll probably have to spend a year in the G League, get stronger, build his confidence up, and just overall enhance his toolbox. I mean, like I said, the kid is super skilled. I just don't know if he's ready to contribute right away on the NBA level, but I would definitely take a flyer on him. If I'm the Minnesota Timberwolves, Aleksej Pokusevski would be my pick at 17. Numero 18, the Dallas Mavericks. They have the most potent offense in the NBA. Let me correct myself. It's actually the most efficient offense as far as offensive rating in NBA history. Now, the Mavs could use a 3-and-D wing like Josh Green, but I figure, you know what? Let's go all in on offense. Let's take Vanderbilt's Aaron Nesmith. I mean, you give Luka and Porzingis a dead-eye shooter, and a great offense becomes even greater. Since Carlisle has given Luka the keys, everybody has looked good on the floor in this Mavs offense. So I figure, man, if Luka and Porzingis can get a guy like Nesmith, who shot over 50% from three last season, I mean, it makes the Mavs even tougher to defend. So imagine a lineup at any time of Doncic, Hardaway Jr., Nesmith, Kleber, or Porzingis, or maybe even you put him out there with Seth. And if I'm Dallas, I'm going all in on offense, and we'll figure out the defense later. So Aaron Nesmith from Vanderbilt will be my pick at number 18 if I'm the Dallas Mavericks. 19 is the Brooklyn Nets, and I think Brooklyn is obviously going to be a different looking team than they were this year. Kyrie Irving and Kevin Durant are expected to be back. In my opinion, I think the Nets will have to make a tough choice between Spencer Dinwiddie and Karis LeVert. I think they need to bring Joe Harris back as probably one of their top priorities for the summer. But if you look at their roster, the one thing that I don't see that they have is a big that can stretch the floor. I think Durant is going to play some minutes at the 5 and definitely a lot of minutes at the 4. But I think as far as having a big that can come out and play pick and pop, I think that's what they lack. So I would take Jalen Smith at number 19 if I'm the Nets. Smith has a unique skill set in a sense because he's 6'10", he blocks shots, he rebounds, he can play inside some. I don't know if he'll be able to get a lot of post touches in the NBA because he needs to get a lot stronger, and with his narrow frame and skinny legs, I think it's going to be tough for him to establish inside post position. But I think that he would be a great pick and pop threat going forward. Off the top of my head, I believe he shot about 36% from 3 on a decent amount of attempts. So I think that he would be a good fit for the Nets. I know that he's behind DeAndre Jordan, who happens to be good friends with Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving, and then Jared Allen, so the minutes may be scarce. But I do think whoever the Nets coach is going forward should be able to find some minutes to sneak Jalen Smith in their rotation. So at number 19, Jalen Smith to the Brooklyn Nets. At number 20, I have the Miami Heat, and I would select Tyrell Terry. If you look at Miami's roster, Goran Dragic is a free agent, and Kendrick Nunn is the only other point guard on the roster. Miami's offense this year was built off of three-point shooting, and you have to take your hat off to this Heat culture. I mean, if you would have told me Duncan Robinson and Kendrick Nunn were the starting backcourt for a G League team, I would have believed you. But an NBA team or NBA playoff team, no chance. So Miami has done a great job of developing guys and just making sure that guys are fitting into their culture and maximizing their talents. And I think Tyrell Terry would be a good fit in their culture. He kind of reminds me of like a poor man or homeless man's Steph Curry or Trae Young. And the fact that he's a very good three-point shooter. He shot over 42% from 3. He shoots a lot off the dribble. And he's a very confident scorer. And what I like about him is even though he may be like a $160, maybe a $165 soaking wet, he does attempt to attack the rim. He's not a good finisher at this point in his career, but I think once he adds a little bit of weight and then with also NBA spacing, I think he should be able to be a decent defender. But what I love about him is he is confident to let it fly. And that's something I think Miami would like. Like I said, if Miami can develop Duncan Robinson and Kendrick Nunn into starters on a playoff team, then I think Tyrell Terry is someone that they could definitely turn into a high-level NBA starter. And maybe not right away, but a rotation player early in his career because, like I mentioned, Miami doesn't have any depth at point guard right now. So Tyrell Terry to the Miami Heat at 20 would be my choice. All right, at number 21, Philadelphia 76ers. Now, Philly is a mess. And their roster is just totally unbalanced. I don't know why they thought playing quote-unquote smash-mouth basketball would be effective in 2020. And unfortunately, because of their roster and the injury to Ben Simmons, they got bounced in the first round of the playoffs. In my opinion, some roster changes are on the horizon. It's going to be tough simply because they have some contracts that would be hard to move. Philly has to be excited to see Tyrese Maxey sitting here at 21 based off of my draft board. Maxey was highly touted coming into his freshman year, and I think his stock has slipped, at least in my opinion, his stock has slipped due to his shooting. He wasn't very efficient from the floor his freshman year. I do think that his shooting numbers will be better, and he has excellent touch, especially like around the rim, and he's a good free throw shooter. He shot about 86% from the free throw line. But let's just be honest, if he was more efficient this year, he wouldn't be available at 21. Now, I think that he could be a good fit for Philly. He could play with Ben Simmons because he's able to get to the basket. He's tough. He plays defense. However, if his shooting is similar to the numbers that he put up in college as opposed to how well he shot the ball in high school and AAU and the Team USA circuits, then it could be a bad fit because with him and Simmons on the floor together, you wouldn't have any floor spacing at all. But I think for Philly, I would buy into Maxey's potential as a shooter. I'd buy into his shooting touch and I've seen the guy work out. I think he works hard. I just think that he had an off year in a sense based off his shooting. So if I'm right about him being able to fix his shooting woes, then it's a good match. But if I'm wrong, then you give a team that needs floor spacing another player that doesn't really knock down open shots, which makes things difficult for Joel Embiid, Ben Simmons, and everybody else involved. But like I said, Philly, to see Tyrese Maxey, who was a projected lottery pick at 21, it's a no-brainer choice for me. All right, at 22, it's the Denver Nuggets. Josh Green would be my choice. Denver has their big three, and Nikola Jokic, Jamal Murray, and Michael Porter Jr. So I think for them going forward, they would need to fill out the roster with tough defensive players that can knock down open shots. Josh Green would bring some energy, toughness, and just overall physicality to the Nuggets defense. I think he's a pretty good shooter. He shot about 36% from three. So he should be able to improve and become at least an above average three-point shooter. But Denver really has to find a way to fix their defense. I don't know going forward, at least long term, if they'll be able to play Porter Jr. and Jokic together heavy minutes in playoff games or just games that are important, because neither one of them bring much positives to the defensive end of the floor. So, like I said, you got to surround them with good defensive players. And in my opinion, Josh Green is the best wing defender or best 3-and-D wing defender available at this position. So Josh Green to the Denver Nuggets at 22 would be my choice. At 23, this pick is the same as it was on my mock draft 1.0. I have the Utah Jazz selecting Leandro Bolmaro. I like Bolmaro because he's a wing ball handler. He's a secondary playmaker, high IQ. He defends, he plays hard, and I think that he would be a good fit into the Jazz's culture. The problem is it doesn't look like he's going to be able to contribute in the 2021 season because he'll be playing in Barcelona still. And it just shows you how weird this season is. Right now, we haven't even had the 2020 NBA draft, but we have basketball in Europe being played for the 2021 season. So Utah could actually go look into another direction if they're looking for a player that they want to crack the rotation and play now, but they can also just kind of use this as a draft and stash. But I imagine Bolmaro is going to have a great opportunity to improve by playing more minutes on the senior team in Barcelona. I think last year he switched back and forth between the A team and the B team, but I'm expecting him to get a lot of minutes on the A team, and they're going to be pretty tough in the EuroLeague this year. And so that experience would definitely help prepare him for the NBA in 2021 or maybe 21, 22. It's all confusing right now. And we just, at this point, we don't even know when the 2021 NBA season will start. But if I'm Utah, I look at this as a draft and stash, and I think Bolmaro would be the best choice there. At 24, the Milwaukee Bucks, I would have Nico Mannion. Mannion was highly touted coming into his freshman year and was also projected as a lottery pick. Similar to Maxey, he just wasn't as efficient on the floor as you would have liked and expected, and which has been the reason why he's available this late in the first round. Milwaukee has the luxury of being able to develop him and not need him to come in and contribute right away. But I think also for Mannion, he'd have a battle ahead beating out Frank Mason for a rotation spot next year. And I'm all about competition. If they compete and Mason wins the job as the second or third point guard, I don't have a problem with sending Mannion to the G League and letting him develop, because at the end of the day, I just am not about giving players roster spots that they didn't earn. And so for Mannion to to crack Milwaukee's rotation as a rookie, he's going to have to play well. He's going to have to shoot the ball better. But I think he's an overall good fit for Milwaukee. If you have questions about his defense, this is a team that can hide him. He can learn from a good coach that has, seen players like Bledsoe, Jeff Teague, and Dennis Schroeder develop under him. And Mannion, he shoots threes. Well, that's supposed to be one of his strengths, which it didn't look like it this year. But in Milwaukee, he should be able to get some open shots. So I think it would be a good fit for Nico Mannion to go to the Bucks, because I figure if he would have went to a team that would need him to play right away, some of his weaknesses would be exposed even more. So give him some time to develop and bring him along slowly, and I think you'd have a pretty solid NBA point guard. So if I am the Milwaukee Bucks, Nico Mannion is my pick at 24. All right, at number 25, the Oklahoma City Thunder. This is a no-brainer pick for me. I think Jaden McDaniels will be the best fit here. I mean, he is one of the most talented players in this draft. He's 6'9", 6'10", can handle the ball. He can shoot. I think he has potential as a defender. I mean, he has so much talent, but for whatever reasons, he just was not able to have the season at Washington that I expected. In my opinion, I just feel like he settles for way too many contested pull-up jumpers. I would like to see him become a more consistent shooter, but overall, the talent is there. And as far as Oklahoma City, I think their development program is one of the best in the league. I mean, right now, they're a playoff team, and Darius Bazley and Luguentz Dort are two guys that weren't highly touted coming into this year, expected to do much, and they are contributing in the playoffs. So if they can get that type of production out of Jaden McDaniels, then it's a win at 25, because I feel he's more talented and skilled than both of those guys. But for McDaniels, it's all a matter of finding a good fit and finding and settling into a role. So if the Thunder can develop McDaniels and help him reach his maximum potential, then he could easily be the steal of the draft. Like I said before, I mean, I think his skill set is one of the best as far as just natural talent and how he handles the ball, but I think he's going to need to go to a team with a strong program as far as develop his body, get him stronger, improve his shot selection, and just enhance the skills that he has. And I mean, he could definitely be the steal of the draft. So if I'm Oklahoma City, I'm taking Jaden McDaniels at 25. At 26, it's the Boston Celtics. Now, this is the second of 3 first-round picks. I do not see them keeping all 3. I think that they have maybe 12 or 13 guys under contract for next year. They have quite a few young guys that they are trying to find minutes for. And they need a big, and that's the one area that they need help on. But in this draft, unless you get Wiseman or Okongwu, you're not going to find a big, in my opinion, that can come in and start for Boston. So since there's not a big available that I would take at 26, I would use this pick to address another potential need, and that is backup point guard. I think Brad Wanamaker is a free agent, and Theo Maledon is another player that was highly touted coming into this year. His stock has slipped a little bit. I think it's mostly due to him missing some time last season due to injury. I think that he is a versatile defender at 6'5". He can defend the 1 and the 2. I like Maledon a lot. He's definitely one of the most decorated French prospects to enter the NBA. He's had an opportunity to play in the EuroLeague at a young age. I think he's going to have a long career as a switchy defender and game manager. He's good at the pick and roll. He has an advanced understanding of reading plays, and he's definitely experienced. So I think that he would be a good fit in Boston. But he may have a similar problem as Nico Mannion, because he'd have to compete with Tremont Waters for rotation minutes next year if the roster stays the same. And I think that if that's the case, then I wouldn't be shocked to see Maledon stay in France and develop it there for another year, or maybe even play in Maine. I do think it may be a little tough for him to get some rotation minutes as a rookie, because Boston is in win-now mode. But I love his potential as a solid, like I said, game manager that defends multiple positions and knocks down open shots. So Theo Maledon at 26. At 27, it's the New York Knicks. Now, New York fans want a point guard bad. And I agree. The 3-point guards that are under contract next year, I think if fans could choose to get rid of all three, I think some will want all three gone. I do think Frank Ntilikina stays. I think he's in their long-term plans. But as far as Dennis Smith and Elfrid Payton, I don't see them back with the Knicks next year. But the point guard that I would select in this draft at 27 would be Cassius Winston. He doesn't have the, sexy upside. He's not this like explosive athlete. But as far as like production and intangibles and being ready to play right away as a rookie, I think Cassius Winston is no doubt the best player for the Knicks at this point in the draft. He is an excellent shooter. And I'm not saying this based off of a short sample size like a lot of the players in this draft. I mean, for 4 years, he shot over 40% from three. He has winning intangibles. He's pretty much one of the best players to ever put on a Michigan State uniform. And I think because he's a little bit older and more mature, I think that he is as NBA ready as anyone, especially at the point guard position. Even though he's not projected to go high and there's other guys who may seem like they have a higher upside, I think Cassius Winston in New York would be a fan favorite. And I definitely think that he could be one of the guys that comes in and is able to contribute right away as a rookie. I think that he could run the pick and roll. He can knock down open shots. He may not be able to get to the basket at will because he's not this great athlete with this crazy burst or first step, but he somehow manages to make plays. And so I think Knicks fans would love the fact that you got a playmaker who has some intangibles and who knows how to win. He may not know how to win at an NBA level yet, but I think that as far as being ready to compete right away, he is above a lot of the guys in this draft. So Cassius Winston at number 27, in my opinion, would be a good pick for the Knicks. All right, at number 28, the Lakers probably would have loved to have Cassius Winston available because there's a need for a backup point guard and playmaker that can knock down open shots. But based off of my draft, he's not available. So the Lakers should just go for a specialist. And Desmond Bane is a sniper. He is one of the best three-point shooters, or you can make a case and say he is the best three-point shooter in this draft. He's also like Cassius Winston. He's a 4-year college player, so he's experienced, and he should be ready to contribute right away. He has an NBA-ready body, and he has a defined role. Like, you know what you're getting out of him. And the Lakers had surrounded LeBron and Anthony Davis with defenders who are solid shooters. I mean, Danny Green is kind of, I don't know, it depends. Some may give Danny Green the label as a knockdown shooter. I think he's more so streaky than consistent, but I think Desmond Bane would give LeBron a knockdown floor spacer that will just make things easier for him and Anthony Davis. And Desmond Bane is, over 40% shooter from three, 4 years. And he has a defined role. He'll come in, he'll knock down open shots, and I think he could crack the rotation and get some playing time as a rookie, which is pretty impressive for a championship caliber team to get some production and a late first-round pick. So Desmond Bane would be my choice for the Los Angeles Lakers. At 29, the Toronto Raptors should look at Tyler Bey. I think Bey would be kind of like the ideal Nick Nurse type defender. Even though he's only listed at 6'7", maybe 6'8", honestly, he could be only 6'6", but he plays a lot bigger than his size. He's a tremendous rebounder. He's a great energy player, athletic, should be able to defend multiple positions. I say maybe even 1 through 4 in a pinch. And if he can improve his outside shooting and become a more consistent shooter from three, I think that he's definitely a weapon that Toronto could use in their rotation. Now, the issue with Toronto is they have 4 guys in their front line that are free agents with Marc Gasol, Serge Ibaka, Chris Boucher, and Rondae Hollis-Jefferson. So I can't imagine a situation where all 4 guys will be back. So this would give Bey the opportunity to come in and get some rotation minutes on a contender. And as far as his shooting, he shoots a pretty good percentage. It's just on a low volume of shots. And if he can have like a Brandon Clark type development in his outside shot, then watch out. Toronto got a steal at 29 with Tyler Bey. So that would be my choice for the Toronto Raptors, Tyler Bey at 29. All right, and with the last pick of the first round, I have the Boston Celtics. This is their third pick in the first round, and like I said earlier, I don't imagine them keeping all three picks. I see them being packaged along with probably one of their young players for a starting caliber center. But for the sake of this discussion, I would select Isaiah Stewart for the Boston Celtics at number 30. I think Stewart was just born in the wrong era. If he were born in 1979, he would be a top 5 pick in the 99 or 2000 NBA draft. I mean, his game was just built for that era. He kind of reminds me of Elton Brand in a sense, as far as he's undersized, but he makes it up with a motor, long wingspan. He's a strong rebounder. I think he does the little things as far as like setting good screens, running the floor. He has a lot of intangibles that he could bring to the table for a team that is looking to compete. I also believe that Stewart should be able to increase his shooting range. Right now, he shows flashes of being able to knock down face-up jumpers, but I think he should be able to knock down threes. Maybe not his rookie year or second year, but I think by the end of his rookie contract, he should be at least league average in three-point shooting. So I think Boston, if they decide to keep this pick, would get a excellent role player, energy guy that runs the floor, plays hard, and just does whatever it takes to win. So I like Isaiah Stewart at number 30 if I'm the Boston Celtics. All right, that wraps up the second half of my mock draft 2.0. And, man, this draft is tough because anywhere from 15 through 35, I feel like a lot of those players are interchangeable. So I'm going to commit to doing a second-round mock draft. I don't know if I've actually seen one on YouTube. I mean, I'm pretty sure there has been one, but I'm going to make the commitment to do a second round simply because there's guys like Jamias Ramsey, Grant Riller, Paul Reed, Robert Wood. There's guys like that just for whatever reasons didn't crack my first round on this particular mock draft. So I want to make sure that I can come up with a second draft. I'll just commit to doing a second round. But thanks again. It's Raphael with NBA Draft Junkies. And I'm out, man. Peace.